Chapter 4295. When she hid in her room, she was actually crying silently. Her heart was in a mess. This was her self-awareness awakening. Tangguo saw that the situation was about right. She saw that Hellflower was in Purple Tower City, so she directly gave her a quest. Hellflower received the notification and felt that it was strange. When she saw that it was Empress Zeta's quest, she accepted it. Tangguo's letter to Half Moon Princess was a ploy. The general idea was to let Half Moon Princess see Song Lin's true colors and ask her if she was willing to cooperate. Half Moon Princess looked at the words in the letter. Any relationship should be faced head-on. Running away was not an option. For everyone's sake, it would be better to make things clear and end things quickly. That way, it wouldn't be so painful. Half Moon Princess agreed. Song Lin had been trying to please Tangguo for a long time. Today, the two of them were chatting. In reality, Song Lin was talking about the outside world. He thought that it was humorous and interesting. In reality, Tangguo just wanted to cooperate and make Song Lin fall into her trap. Song Lin saw that Tangguo's impression of him had improved, so he spoke more warmly. From time to time, he would praise Tangguo. In the end, he even expressed his feelings. Tangguo asked at this time, "From what I know, you've already married Half Moon Princess." Song Lin was already prepared for this. Empress Zeta seemed to have sent a letter to Half Moon Princess. There were some connections between NPCs, but this was set up by the game company. It wasn't a big deal. In order to gain Tangguo's trust, Song Lin began to make up a story. "I don't have any feelings for Half Moon Princess. I had no choice but to marry her. After such a long time, I think she knows that forced things won't be sweet. If you mind, I'll immediately go back and ask Half Moon Princess to dissolve this meaningless marriage." Tangguo cursed in her heart. As expected of a scumbag. He only knew how to cheat NPCs. Tangguo was confused. "Why did you get married? What's the reason?" Actually, this was all done willingly by the Half Moon Princess. She always said that if she didn't marry me, she wouldn't be able to live on. In order to keep her in check, I had no choice but to marry her. Now that she seems to have calmed down, I think this matter should be over. She should understand that this relationship is fruitless. Because of his character, Song Lin could not say that the Half Moon Princess was very fierce and that she had forced him. It was normal that the Half Moon Princess couldn't figure it out. This was in line with her soft and gentle personality. On the surface, Tangguo believed him, but in fact, she really wanted to smash Song Lin's head. As the system observed all this, it couldn't help but grumble in its heart. Where was Gongxi's smile? Why haven't you appeared yet? If you still don't appear, your wife will belong to someone else. Are you in a hurry? Tangguo said, "In that case, you should talk to the Half Moon Princess first." When Song Lin saw this, he knew that Empress Zeta had made her decision. Anyway, his feelings for the Half Moon Princess had already passed, so he immediately agreed and turned to look for the Half Moon Princess. When the Half Moon Princess heard that Song Lin was not suitable for her and wanted to dissolve the marriage, her heart turned cold. At this moment, she had a very special feeling. Heartache. It was not a heartache that was collected from the big data, but she truly felt it. That feeling, she did not know how to describe it. In short, it was very uncomfortable. It was as if everything in front of her was black and the sky was falling down. She did not want to do anything and just wanted to cry. Especially when she saw Song Lin's cold and distant appearance, she felt even worse. At this moment, she seemed to understand that what everyone said was true. Song Lin was indeed fickle and fickle. Okay, then dissolve the marriage. The Half Moon Princess said that she still wanted to listen to Empress Zeta's plan and see what Song Lin was going to do. Perhaps it was because she still did not believe it. After the marriage was dissolved, Song Lin happily came to see Tang Guo and said that he had broken off the meaningless marriage. As expected, Tang Guo's attitude towards him changed drastically. At the same time, she often triggered side quests for a few familiar players. It was a very simple quest. It was to send a letter to the Half-Moon Princess regarding the situation here. She also sent all the sweet words that Song Lin said to her. Tang Guo obviously did not plan to marry Song Lin. That was impossible. How degrading would that be? She was Empress Zeta. Was Song Lin, that scumbag, worthy of her? However, in order to complete her plan, she decided to lead Song Lin to trick her out of Purple Tower City. Then, she could beat that scumbag. Song Lin originally wanted to lure Tang Guo out. Now that he had taken a big step forward, he was not in a hurry. Instead, he expressed his goodwill and told Tang Guo about the benefits outside. Chapter 4296. Hearing Tang Guo asking about the outside world with a face full of yearning, Song Lin thought that his chance had come. Of course, the outside world is more exciting than you can imagine. Song Lin continued and talked about many interesting things that happened outside. Tang Guo's face was full of regret. Unfortunately, I can't go out. Actually, if you have the chance, why don't you go out and take a look? Even if you have to guard Purple Tower City, you don't have to stay here all the time. The guards in Purple Tower City are very strong. You can guard here for a while and go out to take a look. It won't take long, so there shouldn't be any problems. Song Lin persuaded. Tang Guo pretended to think for a while before saying, if I'm not here, what if the enemy attacks Purple Tower City? Who will take charge of the situation? If you're really worried, I can arrange for some people to guard Purple Tower City. If anything happens, they will inform you about the situation in the city. Then, there won't be any problems. Song Lin saw that Tang Guo was still hesitating, so he continued to add fuel to the fire. Why don't you find a time to take a look outside Purple Tower City? You won't miss anything in such a short time, right? This reason seemed to have convinced Tang Guo. Under Song Lin's coaxing and pestering, she finally agreed to go out with him to see the scenery outside Purple Tower City tomorrow evening. Just as Song Lin had said, even if an enemy were to assault them, they would still be able to rush back swiftly. Nothing out of their control would happen. Song Lin was happy. He didn't expect things to go so smoothly. If Empress Zeta went out with him tomorrow evening, then he could kill her and see if he could trigger any special rewards. The Purple Tower Queen was the biggest boss in this game. If they killed her, they would definitely receive a reward that would shock the entire server. Song Lin reluctantly said goodbye to Tang Guo, then I'll come and pick you up tomorrow. Okay. Tang Guo smiled as she watched Song Lin leave. She was also looking forward to tomorrow. At that time, Song Lin would know what it meant to have his head explode. Many players knew that Empress Zeta had agreed to go outside Purple Tower City the next evening. The current situation was equivalent to Song Lin live streaming and waiting for Empress Zeta to go out and kill. Many players were watching from the sidelines. Misty Lady and the others that Tang Guo was familiar with, as well as some players who liked her, secretly came to her and told her that Song Lin was lying to her and that it was best for her not to leave Purple Tower City. The players who told her about this were undoubtedly very fond of this NPC. The other players who were here to watch the fun also treated it as a game. Most of them wanted to see what rewards would drop after killing the Purple Tower Emperor, which was quite normal. After all, she was just an NPC. Who asked Song Lin to be the son of Providence? His strategy would allow the NPCs to awaken their own consciousness, so this was a tragedy. Tang Guo even dressed up meticulously for the trip to Purple Pagoda City the next evening. She changed into a new set of clothes that the game company had designed for her. Misty Lady and the others were more familiar with Tangua. They knew that Tangua wouldn't be fooled so easily, so they still planned to follow her secretly. Right now, they were communicating in the group. Hellflower, then it's settled. Tomorrow evening, we'll all go online and follow her. At that time, there will be many players following her. Song Lin deliberately released this news to let everyone witness a moment that belonged to history. Rosa Rubra, then what's our specific mission? The summit. Chapter 4297. Misty Lady, of course it's to stop Empress Zeta from being killed by Song Lin. All of us here really like Empress Zeta. We can't let Song Lin get away with it. Blue Blade, I still can't get in touch with Boss Gongxi. Something must have happened in the real world. He hasn't been online for so long. I wonder what happened. Everyone was silent. If Gongxi Smile was here, they wouldn't have to be so nervous. Blue Blade, let's see how it goes tomorrow. If Song Lin makes a move, the only thing we can do is to hold him back and send Empress Zeta back to Purple Tower City. Although they knew that Empress Zeta had her own ideas, they were still unsure. After the discussion, they all went offline and stopped killing monsters to level up. Blue Blade contacted Gongxi Smile a few more times, but he didn't get a response. He told Gongxi Smile everything that had happened on his social media account to make sure that Gongxi Smile would find out when she came online. However, he still didn't get a response by the evening of the second day. Blue Blade had no choice but to go online. As soon as he came online, he rushed to Purple Tower City. He saw Tangua leaving Purple Tower City with Song Lin. When he saw Tangua walking out of Purple Tower City, he couldn't help but feel nervous. Miss Muddlehead and the others were watching silently from the side. There were many people around Song Lin. They were all from his guild. Song Lin seemed to know that many players were Empress Zeta's fans. Normal players wouldn't dare to offend his guild for fear of being hunted down and killed. Song Lin was also worried that someone would beat him to it and kill Empress Zeta. Wouldn't he be working for someone else then? In the bamboo forest. The moment Tangua walked out of Purple Tower City, she felt that everything was out of her control. She couldn't act as she wished like she did in Purple Pagoda City, where she could take things out with just a thought. This was probably the game's setting. However, she wasn't a real NPC. The game company might have given her less power, but it didn't mean that she didn't have her own power. The game world was equivalent to a spiritual world. The strength of her spiritual power was unimaginable to the average person. She could still destroy anything in Song Lin's hands with just a thought. Song Lin was now by her side with a smile. Ever since they left the city, he had been introducing the surrounding scenery to her. The scenery outside was designed to imitate the real world. It could be said that it was extremely realistic, even more perfect than the real world. Now, they had come to a river. They could still hear the sound of the river flowing. On both sides of the river, there were dense forests, flowers, and grass. Everything looked so lively. How is it? Is the outside different from Purple Pagoda City? Song Lin said with a smile on his face. He even pointed at the horizon. Look, there's a sunset over there. Tangua looked in the direction Song Lin was pointing. Indeed, there was a sunset there. He wondered what kind of gods the people in this game company were, spending so much money to create such a game. This game was indeed the gospel of the masses of netizens. Unfortunately, it was ruined by Song Lin, that scumbag. It's really beautiful. Tangua replied. She squatted down and picked a small flower. She put the flower to her nose and sniffed it. She looked at Song Lin with a puzzled face. Why don't the flowers here have a floral fragrance? Peek. Chapter 4298. Song Lin was puzzled. Why would Empress Zeta be so obsessed with a flower's fragrance? Then, he realized that it was probably because she saw some characteristics of flowers in the big data. He answered perfunctorily, maybe it's because these flowers don't have any smell. Tanguo was skeptical, but she did not throw away the flower in her hand. Instead, she held it in her hand. Song Lin took her to another place. Of course, he was leading her to a place further away from Purple Pagoda City. It was too close to Purple Pagoda City. He was afraid that Empress Zeta would quickly return to Purple Pagoda City. Then, he would have the chance to kill her forever. Tanguo was also very cooperative. She ignored Misty Lady and the others' worries and followed Song Lin to a place further away from Purple Pagoda City. They even took a few teleportation portals. At this time, it was impossible for her to return to Purple Pagoda City quickly. Song Lin took her to all kinds of corners. She might not be able to find her way back. Then, Blue Blade could not contact Gongxi Smile. Finally, with the help of the assistant, he went back to the gaming cabin. The assistant looked at Gongxi Smile's cold face and comforted him. Sir, the experts are trying to find a way. If they can't cure you this time, they will definitely find a way next time. You are the hope of the entire Meng family. Please don't give up. Close the cabin. Only in the virtual world could he walk freely. He could go wherever he wanted. He did not need to take the disgusting medicine. Who would have thought that Gongxi Smile, the famous gamer who threw money around like water, was actually a patient who couldn't even walk properly. Not only could he not walk, he could not even hold a bowl. When he found out that he had contracted a rare disease, he initially thought that as long as he relied on his willpower and actively cooperated with the treatment, he would definitely be able to overcome his illness with his wealth. In fact, he was too naive. Temple Street, there were some diseases that humans could not control. Since the day he learned that he had a disease, he felt his body stiffening day by day. Slowly, it became difficult for him to walk. His legs did not have any strength and could not support him to walk. Later, he could not use his hands. First, he could not hold a bowl. Later, he could not even hold a chopstick. Until now, he was almost paralyzed. Many parts of his body had lost feeling. It was as if only his head was left. If you want to live in this world, you can't live without people. He didn't like the feeling of not being able to control his fate. Later, he used what was left of his brain to research some sensory and voice-controlled items. Only then did he feel that fate was in his hands again. At least he was not as passive as before. Casting aside all his thoughts, Gongxi entered the game with a smile. He bought a house in a bustling city. After entering the game, he went straight to this house. He thought of the NPC Empress Zeta and the innocent questions she had asked him. Suddenly, he felt much better. Perhaps, he could buy a house in Purple Pagoda City. When he was free, he could go and chat with her. He liked the feeling of being needed. Especially when she asked him all kinds of questions, he was in a good mood. Based on his experience before he fell ill, he could give her the perfect answer. Gongxi Smile rode on his mount and quickly rushed to Purple Pagoda City. He forgot to check his private messages, let alone the messages from Blue Blade on his social media account. He had the pass from Tanguo, so he could enter Purple Pagoda City without having to go through the checkpoints. When he arrived at Purple Pagoda City, he was stunned. There were not many players here. The players were also looking around. Finally, they looked like they understood something. This made him feel that something was wrong. The Peak. Chapter 4299. Gongxi Smile felt that something was amiss. He looked at the World Channel and realized that everyone was discussing when Song Lin would make his move. In the public channel, the players were guessing when Song Lin would make his move. They were even betting with spicy sticks. Some players were saying that even though Empress Zeta was an NPC, it was pitiful for her to be treated this way. Oh right, where is Empress Zeta? He looked at the closed door and finally noticed that Blue Blade had sent him a private message. After reading the message, Gongxi's smile felt a chill run down his spine. He didn't know why he was so angry after hearing the news. He even had the urge to destroy the world. He contacted Blue Blade. Where is Empress Zeta now? Blue Blade cried with joy, Boss Gongxi, where have you been? You've finally appeared. Gongxi's smile cut the crap. Where is Empress Zeta? Has Song Lin made his move? Blue Blade quickly told him where Tangguo was. Gongxi's smile was relieved when he heard that Song Lin had not made his move yet. He quickly rode his mount and rushed over. Suddenly, he remembered that Tangguo had given him a teleportation crystal ball. He immediately used the teleportation crystal ball and teleported himself to the location shown in the crystal ball. At the same time, he issued 2 high-priced quests. First quest, escort the Purple Tower Empress back to the city. She needs to be escorted back in one piece. Participating players will receive the most expensive equipment in the shop. The second quest, World Hunting Quest. Target Young Master Song. Whoever kills Young Master Song will receive a reward of 1 million game coins, which can be exchanged for cash. Gongxi's smile made such a big fuss as soon as he arrived. Both quests were announced in the World Channel, and all the chat channels went silent for 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, all the chat channels were flooded with messages like, Boss Gongxi is so generous. How did Young Master Song offend Boss Gongxi? Everyone had long thrown the matter of Song Lin killing the Purple Tower Empress to the back of their minds. Their minds were filled with the value of these 2 missions to them. The most expensive top-notch equipment in the shop cost at least tens of thousands, right? Wait a minute, he gave me such expensive equipment just to escort Empress Zeta. Many players finally realized that Boss Gongxi had his eyes on Empress Zeta. However, they had never seen a player treat NPCs so seriously. This was even crazier than in real life. Some female players were extremely envious. If they could meet such a man, even if they were just NPCs, they would still be very happy. Song Lin did not look at the chat channel. All his attention was on Tangguo. He had already decided to attack Tangguo, but he didn't notice that the surrounding players were looking at him differently. Gongxi Smile's quest had a level limit. If his level wasn't high enough, he still couldn't accept it. To put it bluntly, this was a quest that only an expert in the game could accept. Blue Blade and the others were relieved when they saw the 2 quests. Now that Boss Gongxi had spoken, they weren't afraid that the onlookers would stop them from protecting Empress Zeta. Blue Blade didn't accept the quest to escort Tangguo. Instead, he accepted the quest to kill Young Master Song. There was nothing wrong with killing someone that Boss Gongxi hated. As a poor player, sucking up to the boss was a basic skill. Many high-end players had also accepted this mission. It was now up to who could kill Young Master Song. Some of the weaker players, who were actually quite skilled, accepted the mission of escorting the Purple Tower Queen. The Peak. Chapter 4300. When the people in Song Lin's gang noticed Gongxi Smile's movement, they hurried to Song Lin and urged him to check the chat. Song Lin didn't hesitate after reading the chat. Even if Gongxi Smile wanted to kill him, he had to kill Empress Zeta today. Let me show you something that you've never seen before, Song Lin said to Tangguo with a smile. In fact, he took out a divine artifact. He planned to stab Tangguo in the heart with a dagger when she wasn't paying attention. He had spent so much effort, and no matter what, he was not willing to give up on killing the Purple Tower Emperor. Success or failure would depend on this. Tangguo was still curious. What is it? Song Lin saw that many players were running toward him, obviously trying to stop him. Close your eyes. Tang Guo smiled. Okay. Then she really did close her eyes. Song Lin was overjoyed. He took out his dagger and stabbed Tang Guo in the heart. Tang Guo thought to herself, why do these scumbags like to stab people in the heart? Is it easier to stab there, or is it more painful? When the dagger was close to her heart, she focused her mind, and her powerful mind power fell on Song Lin's dagger. Under everyone's incredulous gaze, the dagger instantly shattered into pieces. Song Lin was stunned. He took out another divine artifact, a sword, and immediately slashed at Tang Guo's neck. Tang Guo opened her eyes. They all said that you were trying to trick me into coming out to kill you. I didn't believe them at first. Seeing Tang Guo's piercing gaze, Song Lin panicked. He still slashed at Tang Guo with all his might, muttering, "You're just an NPC. I want to see what kind of reward you'll drop after killing you." After that, he slashed at Tang Guo's neck without hesitation. However, his sword shattered again. Just like the dagger just now, it shattered into pieces one by one. At this time, Tang Guo took out a sword. Before Song Lin could react, the sword fell on his neck. Do you think I really believe you? A person who could abandon the half-moon princess at any time would also abandon her one day. I followed you because I wanted to see your true face. Sure enough, I was right. You are a scumbag. The players were in disbelief. Empress Zeta wasn't that simple after all. So this young Master Song was just acting, and the other party was just playing along, not foolishly believing him. That's right, this is the Purple Tower Empress, not a silly NPC like the Half-Moon Princess. Go to hell, scumbag. Tang Guo's sword slashed Song Lin's neck. He didn't have time to react at all, and his corpse was separated from his body. Then, a ray of light burst out from where he stood, and after dropping 2 pieces of equipment, his corpse disappeared. At this time, Song Lin, who had lost his equipment, a life, and a level, had been revived in the beginner's village. Tang Guo held the sword and frowned slightly. She turned around and looked coldly at the players who wanted to walk over. The players swallowed their saliva in fear and cursed the fucking game company in their hearts. They must have secretly changed the settings and didn't even inform them. Were they used to playing with the players? However, why did they feel so good when they saw Song Lin's head being cut off? Speaking of which, Empress Zeta didn't use her scepter this time. It was probably a cheat given by the fucking game company. Where did that Song Lin go? I know that he will revive again. Tang Guo looked at the players and said calmly, "Some of you have been killed by me a few times. Tell me, where did he go? I won't be calculative with you. This is between me and Song Lin." Since she wasn't looking for trouble, the players wanted to see what Empress Zeta was going to do. Young Master Song should have been revived in the beginner's village. Any player who dies will eventually return to the beginner's village. Tang Guo asked, "Where is the beginner's village? I want to find Song Lin. I need someone to lead the way. When I find him, I will reward you handsomely." The players saw that Empress Zeta had issued a quest. One of them quickly grabbed the quest and led Tang Guo to the beginner's village. The other players didn't manage to grab the quest, but they also wanted to watch the show and followed. Blue Blade didn't forget to send a message to Gongxi Smile, saying that Tang Guo had gone to the beginner's village. Unfortunately, Gongxi Smile was focused on his journey. When he arrived at the original location, he didn't see anyone. Only then did he see Blue Blade's message. At this time, he saw that the chat was discussing young Master Song's head being cut off by Empress Zeta. Ha ha ha, this is so satisfying. I didn't think that young Master Song would have his first day being cut off. Empress Zeta is awesome. From today onwards, she is my goddess, not a queen. The Peak. Chapter 4301. Now that Empress Zeta has chased him to the beginner's village, it seems that young Master Song has provoked someone he shouldn't have. Gong Shi smiled as he read the chat seriously. As he rushed to the beginner's village, he pondered. Should he give the 1 million game coins to Empress Zeta? Thinking that she wasn't hurt at all, he smiled all the way. At this time, many players had heard that young Master Song, who was in the top 10 on the leaderboard, was beheaded by Empress Zeta because he cheated on her feelings and sent back to the beginner's village. Not only that, Empress Zeta was still angry, and now she wanted to go to the beginner's village to kill young Master Song. The players cursed in their hearts. It must be that stupid game company that secretly changed Empress Zeta's settings again. Many players who didn't have important quests rushed to the beginner's village, wanting to see how young Master Song would be killed by Empress Zeta. Some players who had just come online saw the message in the chat and knew that Empress Zeta was coming, so they didn't continue with their quests, but waited for her to arrive. When Tanghua and the other players arrived at the beginner's village, it was already crowded with people. What was more frightening was that along the way, there were players who gave her directions, telling her where young Master Song was. When Tanghua found Song Lin, he was also startled. He was still vexed over the fact that he had been beheaded by the Purple Tower Empress in front of everyone. Previously, when Empress Zeta attacked the players in Purple Tower City, she only used her scepter to lightly hit them, and they were sent back to the beginner's village. But he was beheaded. Just thinking about it, he knew how humiliating it was. He didn't expect Empress Zeta to be so smart, and he also didn't expect that she had been playing along with him all this time. She wanted to see what he would do in the end. Song Lin was very upset, and he also hated the game company's approach. Why did they make the NPCs so smart? Wasn't it obvious that they were making fun of the players? He really didn't know if they were here to play the game or to be played by the game. Song Lin felt that there was no chance to kill Empress Zeta again, unless the game company changed the data about Empress Zeta. He was well aware of the gaming company's character. Currently, Empress Zeta's existence had increased the popularity of the game. Now, it was at the top of the game rankings every day. Countless new players flooded in, and it was unknown how much money they had transferred to the game company. What Song Lin never expected was that Tanghua would come to him with a sword. When he saw Tanghua, he was stunned for a moment. Tanghua didn't give Song Lin a chance. If she didn't kill him now, it would be more troublesome to kill him in the future. Since that was the case, she would kill him a few more times. Didn't this scumbag like to cheat NPC's feelings? Today, he would show him the consequences of deceiving an NPC. Under the shocked gazes of the players, Tanghua chopped off Song Lin's head again. Song Lin's eyes were still wide open. His corpse was split into two. A ray of light emitted from the spot where he was standing, and another piece of equipment dropped. Song Lin's resurrection spot was not far away. Misty Lady even pointed at that spot. Song Lin will be resurrected there in a while. You can keep slashing him there, and he will keep resurrecting. You can keep slashing him. The players. How much hatred did she have? They wondered if Song Lin was such a scumbag that he always did things to cheat female players. Tanghua nodded. She held her sword and waited at the resurrection spring. Indeed, there was a flash of white light, and Song Lin appeared. The Peak. Chapter 4302. He walked out angrily and felt that something was wrong. A sword flashed in front of him, and he was beheaded by Tanghua again. The onlookers were all silent. So, the previous Empress Zeta had been kind to them, right? At least, she only killed them with her scepter, not beheaded them in public, and did not chase them to the beginner's village for the right to revive. After all, being killed once would cause one's level to drop. Now, young Master Song had been killed 3 times, which meant that he had dropped 3 levels. The players at the top of the leaderboard were already in a hurry to catch up. After dropping 3 levels in a row, his ranking had moved down 2 places. When Gong Shi's smile arrived, he found that the beginner's village was silent. He only heard the sound of a sword cutting something. Then, he walked over and saw Song Lin's corpse being separated. After a flash of light, only a sword and equipment were left. This position was just outside the resurrection spring. Tang Gua stood there with her sword, staring at the resurrection spring coldly. Gong Shi's smile rode over on his mount. Before he could say anything, a figure walked out of the resurrection spring. Who else could it be but Song Lin? Under Gong Shi's smiling gaze, Tang Gua cut Song Lin down with her sword again. Song Lin, who had been beheaded nearly 10 times in a row, was furious. This Empress Zeta was completely unreasonable. He didn't know why the game company would create an invincible NPC. Didn't they say that she was only invincible in Purple Tower City? Now that she was outside, why couldn't he deal with her? Even when he walked out, he was beheaded. So, when he revived again, Song Lin didn't walk out of the resurrection spring, but went offline. He suspected that there was something wrong with Empress Zeta's data, and now he was going to complain to the game company. He would wait for Empress Zeta's data to be adjusted before he returned to the game. The level and equipment that he had lost before made his heart ache. He hoped that the game company could give him an explanation. Seeing that there was no more drama to watch, the players dispersed. Many of them became fans of Empress Zeta. They knew that young Master Song would most likely complain to the officials about this matter. Many people also went offline and decided to suggest that Empress Zeta's data be retained. Besides, if young Master Song hadn't wanted to trick Empress Zeta into coming out to kill her, he wouldn't have been able to do so. Was there a need for such an encounter? Could it be that the NPCs were deceived? She had become smarter, but he was still unwilling to accept it. Just hearing about it made him feel helpless. Gong Shi smiled when she saw that Tang Guo was safe and sound. She was relieved. Why did you believe him? Did you come out of Purple Tower City? Mr. Gong Shi, long time no see. Tang Guo sheathed her sword. I think there's something wrong with him, so I wanted to follow him and see what he's up to. I also wanted to see the outside world that Mr. Gong Shi mentioned. Gong Shi smiled. It turned out that she didn't come out because of young Master Song's description of the outside world, but because of what he said. If young Master Song really got his way today, then it would be his fault. Why take the risk? Didn't you feel that leaving Purple Tower City would weaken your power? It's dangerous. Gong Shi smiled. NPCs could also respawn, and he still didn't want that to happen. Gong Shi suddenly realized that he had slowly begun to see her as a person with a soul, and not an NPC with a string of data. The Peak. Chapter 4303. I've prepared something. Hearing this answer, Gong Shi smiled and asked in surprise, what preparation? I found some super divine artifacts in the treasury. Even if my power is weakened, I can still use these super sacred artifacts. That Song guy is no match for me. Tang Guo didn't hide her words from the other players. She also wanted to use the mouths of these players to inform the game company of how she was able to kill Song Lin outside the game. The legendary artifacts were indeed rare weapons that the game company put in her vault, and there was only one of them. There was only one way to get a legendary artifact. The first person to kill Empress Zeta would get the legendary artifact. Gong Shi smiled. The legendary artifact must be one of the legendary artifacts that the game company put in her vault. There were not many of them, or maybe there was only one of them. Since you're out, do you still want to go outside? Gongshi asked with a smile. Haven't you always wanted to see the outside world? Now that you're out, you can go outside. I'll go with you. Gongshi smiled and added, if you want to leave the Purple Tower City and see the outside world, you can ask me to go with you. With me around, no one will dare to do anything to you. I don't want to go outside. Tangguo did not want to go outside. She could go outside whenever she wanted, but Gongshi smiled and said, then let's go. It's rare for us to come out. Gongshi smiled and let her sit on his mount. The mount was big enough for 2 people. The onlookers looked at the NPC and Gongshi on the mount. Sure enough, Boss Gongshi liked Empress Zeta. So, they could not have any ideas about Empress Zeta in the future. They could only participate in the Purple Tower tournament obediently. Mr. Gongshi, didn't you say that the flowers outside have a fragrance? Why doesn't this flower have a fragrance? Tangguo picked up the flower that she just picked and held it in front of Gongshi. Before I pick it, the flower has no fragrance. Gongshi was stumped by the question. Is this a difficult question? Gongshi smiled and shook his head. It's not difficult. I'm just afraid that you won't understand. Even if he didn't want to treat her as a string of data, she was data. She didn't have her own consciousness. All of her actions were analyzed and evolved from big data. Then tell me about it. Because the outside world I'm talking about is not the outside world of Purple Pagoda City. Where is that world? Perhaps Gongshi felt that Tangguo had no self-awareness, so she did not lie. This is an artificial world. There is a real human world outside. Do you understand? Mr. Gongshi, what you mean is that everything here is virtual, including me. Only human beings are real. Am I right? You can understand it that way. Gongshi smiled and saw that Tangguo's face did not show any signs of collapse. He was actually a little disappointed. Sure enough, she was just a virtual existence with no self-consciousness. But why was he disappointed? Actually, this was also a good thing. If a virtual character had its own consciousness, it would not be a good thing for her. Does that mean that everything here will come back to life after death, including me? Gongshi smiled and said, yes. Then, will Purple Pagoda City always exist? The so-called invasion by the enemy is also virtual. Purple Pagoda City will always exist. As long as the humans in the real world are not destroyed, it will always exist. Indeed, there is no such thing as Purple Pagoda City being invaded by the enemy. Tangguo changed the topic. So, you mean that I can leave Purple Pagoda City every day and go to other places? Gongshi did not know whether to laugh or cry. Yes, but if you want to come out, you'd better call me. Why? Vertex. Chapter 4304. It's dangerous out there. Many people want to kill you and get the reward. Gongshi's smile seemed to have accepted the fact that she could not have her own consciousness. Therefore, there was no need to hide the truth from her. Even if I'm killed, can't I be resurrected? That's what you said just now. Gongshi's smile shook his head. I don't want you to be killed. So, if you want to go out in the future, you can call me. I can show you where you want to go. Okay. Tangguo agreed. If he continued to ask, Gongshi's smile would not know what to say. I'll show you some beautiful places today. What do you think? Of course. Gongshi's smile was in a good mood every time he was with Lin Sanjiu. The darkness and despair that he had experienced in the real world seemed to have ceased to exist here. There was only hope, freedom, and doing whatever he wanted. It made him feel that it was not so bad to continue living. When he saw Tangguo looking at the beautiful scenery, an idea suddenly emerged in his mind. If he could find a way to create a map of the real world, she would be happy to see it, right? At this moment, he didn't even think about whether her happiness, which had no self-awareness, was a happiness that was analyzed from the data or a true happiness that came from her own body. But to him, none of that mattered. Do you want to see the real world outside? In the evening, Gong Shi's smile sent Tanghua into Purple Tower City and suddenly asked. Tanghua, but I can't see it. Even with big data, data was still data. There was no way to see the real world clearly. Wait for a while. Maybe I can prepare to show you the outside world one day. He did not have a healthy body, but he had an unparalleled amount of wealth. If he invested in this game and wanted to create a map of the real world, it should be possible, right? The feeling of wanting to continue living filled Gong Shi's smile's heart. If he did not have to send Tanghua back to Purple Tower City, he would have already gone offline to arrange this matter. After 5 years, he finally found the motivation to continue living. He was no longer a walking corpse like he used to be. After Tanghua was sent back to Purple Tower City, she saw Gong Shi's smile leave happily and could not help but smile. Compared to when they first met, Gong Shi's smile was now more radiant. Even his eyes were filled with hope instead of the gloomy and lifeless look they had before. Lin Sanju, of course, could imagine how desperate a person who was at the top of the world with a huge amount of wealth and status would be if he suddenly fell sick and lost the ability to take care of himself. Those who had this disease who could still be seen in the online world were the ones who persevered. Those who did not make it to the end of it. Even if they did not commit suicide, they would be unable to move and take care of themselves, and gradually lose all hope. Sometimes, self-abandonment was more terrifying. Lin Sanju's life. As soon as she confirmed Gong Shi's smile's identity, the system sent her the information right away. His name Meng's Meng is Meng family's Meng. If it wasn't for his sudden illness 5 years ago, his wealth would probably be ranked in the top 10 in the world. Chapter 4305. Ever since he fell ill, he had no intention to expand his company, and the development of the Mengs had been stagnant. He was the smartest person in the world, and no matter what he did, he always succeeded. He had many loyal people around him, and they were all raised by him. He used to do a lot of charity work, and even the experts who were treating him were medical students he sponsored when he was a teenager. He had a unique vision, and he was very accurate in judging people and the market. Now, only his brain could function, but even so, he still made himself a smart home. With this smart home, he could take care of himself for a short time even if there was no one to take care of him. Before he fell ill, his favorite sport was mountaineering. When he was free, he would go to see the scenery. He used to have a great ambition, which was to climb all the mountains in the world and visit different places in every country. Unfortunately, these dreams had become extravagant, and he could only rely on others to record videos for him. For a person who had lived such a glorious life, his illness had undoubtedly destroyed all his hopes. Host, I overheard that Gong Shi Smiles people contacted this game company, saying that they want to invest and create a one-to-one map of the real world. The game company agreed without hesitation, and the two sides have already set a date to discuss the details. The people in the game company are very excited, and they say that Meng Shihan's return will definitely cause a big stir in the game industry. The Mengs are not short of money, and although the market has been closed these years, they are still steadily making money, just a little less than before. Do you know why? Tanghua asked faintly. The system did not know, because it had just heard the news, and it was playing games with its little brothers. Why? Isn't it because Gong Shi Smile saw the future of this game? If this game was not destroyed by Song Lin, it would be a legend in the game industry. Tanghua leaned on the throne and said slowly, "It's because I want to see the real world, and that's why he made this decision, do you understand?" System, host, do you have to be such a dog? What a dog of a host. She knew that the system would not eat dog food, but she still stuffed it with dog food. Disgusting. How is his body? His condition has already stabilized 3 years ago, and there are no signs of it worsening. However, with the current medical standards of this world, there might not be a cure even after another 100 years. The system still felt that it was a pity. This guy is real. Sometimes, he's quite unlucky. I feel a little sorry for him. Help me collect some information about his illness. I want it complete, especially the daily data. It's so big, host. The system asked in confusion, Dear host, there's nothing wrong with this. Although he's sick, you won't despise him. He can still meet you frequently in the game. Isn't that good? For all of you, it's just a mental communication. It doesn't matter how your bodies are. From the system's point of view, this way, it would be able to accompany its host for more time. That fellow's identity wasn't ordinary. If he was in good health, he would probably be busy with his own dreams and wouldn't have time to accompany his madam host. Isn't it better to be healthy? If you can be healthy, why choose illness? The system reacted, Dear host, I understand now. That fellow's luck is really good. If he's in good health and doesn't accompany you anymore, I'll hack all the computers in his company. Tangua smiled, My little Tongzi is so obedient. It's a pity you don't have a head. Otherwise, I'd definitely pet your dog head. System, he's not a dog. Meng Shihan's people had already negotiated a contract with the game company. The game company was very happy to be able to establish a connection with Meng Shihan. They knew that Gongxi smiling was Meng Shihan. This wasn't a secret to the game company. However, they didn't expect Meng Shihan to be so satisfied with their game that he would personally take charge of a map. After negotiating the contract, they received a report from Song Lin. Song Lin reported this matter using his own identity in the real world. He was afraid that the game company wouldn't pay attention to him. After learning that it was related to Empress Sita, the game company was a bit embarrassed. They didn't think that there was anything wrong with Empress Sita's behavior. Instead, it was Song Lin who was too much of a dog. If he didn't provoke her, would Empress Sita chase after him and kill him? However, Song Lin's identity wasn't simple either. The strength of his company was much stronger than that of their small game company. At this time, the chief planner, the woman whose nickname in the game was Yushing accompanying you, spoke. Boss, I remember that Mr. Meng is very satisfied with Empress Sita. Now that he's working with us, I think it's more likely that it's because of Empress Sita. Why don't we let Mr. Meng know about this matter? Oh, that's right. We're hugging a big leg now. What's there to be afraid of? Mr. Meng is now our company's major shareholder. Empress Zeta is such an important NPC, of course we have to listen to the major shareholder's opinion. In the end, the game company received a response from the Mengs, ignore that Song guy. If there's a problem, the Mengs will take care of it. The Summit. Chapter 4306. After the cooperation between the Mengs and the game company, Song Lin's trouble to the game company reminded Meng Shihan that Song Lin wanted to kill Empress Sita before. So, he made another decision. Is there any business of the Mengs that overlaps with the Songs? Meng Shihan could rekindle his hope. The happiest people were those who had followed him to fight for the country. The special assistant said excitedly, 2 hours later, I will send all the information of the Songs to you. Whether it overlaps or not, sort out the profitable ones. Meng Shihan said. Song Lin was so rampant because of the thriving Songs behind him. Since the other party dared to have designs on Empress Sita, then he would make Song Lin's backyard burn so that he could not take care of himself. After 5 years of immersion, the Meng's business had been gathering. Now it was time to come out again. The songs could be used as an example. On Song Lin's side, after getting the official answer from the game company, he was in a particularly bad mood. He could not do anything to the game company now, unless he spent a lot of money to buy it. But in order to vent his anger, he spent a lot of money to buy the game company, and he might not be able to buy it. This would cause many shareholders to be dissatisfied with him. But he remembered this account. Once there was a chance, he would not forget to let the game company suffer a little and learn a lesson. The system had told Tanghua about the changes in the outside world. Tanghua was not interested in the players at present, so she let them participate in the competition by themselves. She was looking at Meng Shihan's information, mainly about his illness. At first, she thought that Meng Shihan might suffer from Lou Gehrig's disease, which was indeed a very terrible disease that could kill people if it was not controlled well. Hua Heng Academy. But after reading the information, although the symptoms were somewhat similar, it was not Lou Gehrig's disease. At least in this world, it was a relatively new disease that could not be solved. Lou Gehrig's disease was a symptom that muscles would gradually atrophy. Meng Shihan's disease was not caused by paralysis in the legs at the beginning. It was a bit similar to the loss of perception after the nerves were damaged. Usually, there was an assistant to help him move his body, so he could not move his limbs, but his muscles were still exercised. Except that he was a little thin, he looked no different from ordinary people on the surface for the time being. "Host, do you have a clue?" Tanghua said. "What kind of disease is it?" "It only makes some parts of the body numb, but it doesn't damage the blood and muscles." "I've never heard of it." Based on common sense, any illness would definitely harm the body's functions. Especially for a rare disease like Meng Shihan, other than the fact that he couldn't feel his limbs and couldn't move, everything else seemed normal. There was no threat to his vitality at all. She had read countless medical books, and because of her role in some small worlds, she had entered this line of work. However, even with the medical skills she had learned, she still felt that she had encountered a problem. "If the host needs any information, I can help you gather it." Tanghua shook her head. "I'll take a look. The game company helped me connect to the big data. If I want information, I can search for it anytime." Besides, she was like a brainwave now. Wouldn't it be easy for her to find things on the computer? She was just too lazy to go out and wanted to stay in this game world. Recently, Meng Shihan would be busy with the Meng family's matters during the day and the morning. In the afternoon, he would enter the game nourishment chamber and meet with Tanghua, mainly to chat. Now, he did not avoid talking about the outside world. Every day, he would talk to Tanghua about what he had done. It was a bit like they were close friends. Peak. Chapter 4307. But Meng Shihan knew that he was definitely not as simple as a confidant of Empress Sita. Regardless of whether she was an NPC or not, he liked to get along with her. She was very strong in the game. What he wanted to do was to ensure that she was the strongest in this game. Song Lin pressured the game company to change your data, but I stopped him. "System, host, look at how high his tail is, he must be here to take credit." After the system finished speaking, it saw Tanghua's smiling face and left silently. What was the point of staying here? To eat dog food? Is Song Lin the young master of the Song family? Meng Shihan, it's him. I have already negotiated with the game company. They are currently building a new map. When the time comes, this new map will still be under your control. The new map will be built according to the most prosperous cities in the outside world. I hope you will be satisfied when the time comes. Meng Shihan paused. However, in order to make the graphics beautiful, it may take a long time, at least a year and a half. Yes, I can wait. In the future, I will go online in the afternoon. The Meng family has been waiting for me for a long time. It was only after I met you that I realized that there are so many people waiting for me. Living is still very important. No matter what happens, whether the corpse is sick or not, since I am still alive, muddling through is just giving up on myself. In fact, my life is already more exciting than many people. My experience is also more extensive than many people. There is no need to give up on myself for such things. Tang Guo looked at Meng Shihan's spirited eyes. As an NPC, of course, she had to ask the reason. Meng Shihan was very calm now. 5 years ago, I suddenly contracted a strange disease. Now, I can't feel my limbs, I can't walk, and I can't do the activities I used to like. The only thing I can find comfort in is various games, Seven asked. Tang Guo took advantage of this time to carefully ask Meng Shihan what happened before he got sick. Before I got sick, I was doing some extreme sports. There was diving and climbing snow mountains. These were the two closest to me. When I came back from there, my body couldn't adapt. Tang Guo asked again, then, could it be that he was infected with a virus? What should be checked has been checked, but there were no results. Maybe it's because the current medical standards are not enough. In fact, after he fell ill, the Meng family had allocated a portion of their funds to the medical team for research. If the bosses of other companies were called businessmen, then Meng Shihan of the Meng family should be called an entrepreneur. Not only did he make money for himself, but he also cared about the long-term development of society. He understood the importance of talents when he was young. This was also the reason why after he fell ill, there were experts in various fields, including those he had sponsored, who took time out to visit him and helped to study his illness for 5 years. Unfortunately, the effect was minimal, but no one gave up. As long as Meng Shihan was alive, they had to focus on this matter. I seem to be able to collect a lot of information. Do you want to give me the information about your illness? I can help you analyze it. When Meng Shihan heard this, he just smiled. He didn't believe that Tang Guo could really research anything, but he also promised to give her the information. Why? She wanted to see it, and he wanted to give it to her. It was that simple, and there was no special reason. Empress Zeta's existence gave him hope to live on. She was different. Vertex. Chapter 4308. Tang Guo would get the information from the public, so it wouldn't be strange if she analyzed it in the future. Every time Meng Shihan came in, she would talk to him about the real world. As they talked about Meng Shihan himself. Meng Shihan, if one day you recover from your illness, will you still take the risk? Meng Shihan, yes, I will see countless sceneries. The system was angry. Host, hurry up and kill him. If he recovers, he will abandon the game and you, scumbag. Meng Shihan said again, I want to see more sceneries. In the future, I will draw these sceneries and restore them to this virtual world, so that you can see them too. I thought that if you recovered, you wouldn't come here. Of course not. This is also a place of adventure. I like it here. Meng Shihan was not lying. He really liked this place. He also hoped that there would be more maps in this game. The beautiful places in the real world could also exist here. System, that's more like it. I almost couldn't take back my 2-meter sword. Song Lin went online again. He didn't know that the Meng family was preparing to deal with the Song family. Tang Guo didn't want to kill Song Lin anymore. There were still many good things waiting for Song Lin. Song Lin came online because the game company updated the map today. There were only 1,000 players who had priority to experience the new map. Some of them came from Tang Guo, who won first place in every competition. Some of them were selected by the official website. The rest were the top players of the game. In fact, people like Song Lin were very likely to be selected. However, he was too anxious to participate in the competition. 49 ebook. As soon as Song Lin entered the game, he asked about Empress Zeta. When he found that he wasn't being hunted, he was relieved. However, not long after, he was chased by Blue Sword. Blue Sword even told him seriously that he had accepted Gongshi Smile's mission and had to do it. Song Lin dropped another level. He was very angry. All his hatred was directed at Empress Zeta and the game company. He remembered that innocent NPC, the Half Moon Princess. Song Lin decided to go to the Half Moon Lake. The Half Moon Princess was innocent and kind. He really shouldn't have broken off the marriage with her. What are you doing here? Half Moon Princess's self-awareness was becoming clearer and clearer. She shouldn't have said those words with such a tone. She was now angry and disappointed. She no longer had any thoughts about Song Lin. Song Lin got close to Empress Zeta and dissolved their marriage just to kill Empress Zeta and obtain a generous reward. For this, he didn't hesitate to deceive Empress Zeta's feelings. She felt that such a despicable person was very shameless. Song Lin thought that he only needed to say a few nice words to coax the Half Moon Princess. You've misunderstood. Song Lin thought that the Half Moon Princess was still so gullible. I had my own difficulties when I contacted you about marriage. Song Lin didn't notice that when the Half Moon Princess heard this, she couldn't look at this person in the eye. Empress Zeta really didn't lie to her. How could this person be full of lies? Would his next words really be what Empress Zeta said? What difficulties do you have that you want to dissolve our marriage? Half Moon Princess asked. Song Lin was happy when he heard this. He felt that he still preferred an innocent and kind NPC like the Half Moon Princess. The Summit. Chapter 4309. Song Lin's face was sad. I had no choice but to dissolve the marriage. It was to protect myself and you. You should know how powerful Empress Zeta was when we went to Purple Tower City, right? She said that if I didn't dissolve the marriage with you, she would kill you. So, I had no choice but to part with you. Now, I finally found a way to escape Empress Zeta's control. You misunderstood me. Song Lin was immersed in his performance and didn't notice Half Moon Princess's angry gaze. This scumbag actually dared to say such shameless words. How did she fall for such a person in the first place? No wonder Empress Zeta was so worried that she would be deceived. If he didn't tell her the truth, she would have been deceived by this scumbag. Half Moon Princess, do you still have any doubts? Tanghua suddenly appeared from behind the Half Moon Princess, causing Song Lin's affectionate performance to come to an abrupt end. He looked at Tanghua in shock, wondering why she was here. Looking at Half Moon Princess, his heart skipped a beat. He knew that he couldn't get away with it. Tanghua didn't give Song Lin a chance. She raised her sword and greeted his neck. Song Lin's head was separated from his body again. Half Moon Princess, let's go to the beginner village, Tanghua said to the players outside. If you want to do a mission, come back later. Today, Half Moon Princess and I are going to take care of that scumbag. The players couldn't help but laugh. They didn't mind. It was only one day, so they could wait. Wasn't it better to watch an NPC kill scumbag Song? What kind of character, what kind of monsters, what kind of level? The chat channel started discussing again. It was about Empress Zeta bringing Half Moon Princess to the beginner village to take care of that scumbag at the Resurrection Spring. Countless players shouted excitedly. They weren't looking forward to going to the new map at all. Wasn't it better for Empress Zeta to kill that scumbag? When the players arrived, Tanghua was standing outside the Resurrection Spring, hacking at Song Lin. She hacked at his level several times in a row. Song Lin was then hacked offline, and he complained to the game company madly. In the end, the response he received was not very official, but it made Song Lin very angry. The official reply was, "Dear players, our NPCs also have tempers. Our company recently came up with a new rule. Players who deceive NPCs will be hunted down by NPCs. In reality, we are all civilized people. Things like scumbags cheating on girls, and having an affair are all against morality. It doesn't make sense. Once you're in the game, these things will be recognized, don't you think? Right? It's your ass." It was only later that Song Lin found out that the company's wings were so strong because of the Meng Corporation's participation. He was angry, but there was nothing he could do. But in his mind, he thought, hasn't the cripple of the Meng family not shown up for 5 years? What was the meaning of this? Song Lin didn't know that Gong Shihan Xiao was Meng Shihan. Otherwise, he would have understood. Song Lin rested for a few days and entered the game again. He didn't want to look for Empress Zeta and Half Moon Princess. He had dropped 20 to 30 levels in a row. He had fallen out of the top 20 rankings. He had to level up. Now, he didn't have the face to go to the new map. Coincidentally, at this time, the Saintess of Bayman Desert had decided to leave the desert and go to Zeta City. But she needed someone to lead the way. She hadn't met anyone strong until Song Lin appeared. Her eyes lit up. The summit. Chapter 43:10. Song Lin's mood improved a little when he saw the weird-looking Canis Fern dressed in an exotic style. Disregarding everything else, the NPCs in this game were indeed very well designed. Song Lin accepted Canis Fern's mission to escort her to Purple Pagoda City. Although Song Lin did not know how Canis Fern returned to Purple Pagoda City, he subconsciously thought that he was lucky and encountered a hidden mission. Speaking of which, his luck had always been good before, but he did not know when it started to become bad. That's right, after meeting Empress Zeta, his luck became very bad. It seemed that if he was not confident, he should interact less with Empress Zeta. "Dear host, Canis Fern came to Purple Pagoda City. Song Lin escorted her here. Song Lin has been flirting with Canis Fern along the way. Got it. Dear host, aren't you going to stop him?" Looking at the situation now, Canis Fern likes Song Lin a little. Without Song Lin, how can Canis Fern awaken her self-awareness? Moreover, Canis Fern is different from Half Moon Princess. She is a little witch. I was waiting for Song Lin to provoke Canis Fern. If Canis Fern knew that Song Lin was such a scumbag, he could forget about playing this game for the rest of his life. I just need to guide Canis Fern and not hurt the innocent. I can restrain her and teach Song Lin a lesson. System, dear host, as expected of you. I thought you were immersed in love and forgot about the scumbag Song Lin. Now that I think about it, how is that possible? You have forgotten about Big Cutie so many times. Speaking of which, that guy is really pitiful. Not long after, Canis Fern entered Purple Pagoda City. Because of Empress Zeta, Song Lin decided to wait outside. He did not want to be hunted down. It was very difficult to level up now. Losing a level was very painful. During the time that Canis Fern was in contact with Song Lin, she gradually made decisions on her own. She made decisions much faster than Half Moon Princess. When she saw Tanghua, she still could not remember the lost memories. However, she felt that this world was not the same. Tanghua personally welcomed Canis Fern into Purple Pagoda and treated her as an important guest. She even made up a reasonable story. Canis Fern liked Tanghua, so she did not mind. If you like it here, I can arrange a room for you. You can stay here in the future. Wuzhen really liked this place. It was too luxurious, unlike in the desert where the various buildings were not very nice to look at. How could they be as exquisite as this place? Then I'll stay here for a few days. We're good friends, so you shouldn't mind. Oh right, I met someone on the way here. I feel that this person is quite interesting. I plan to let him accompany me during this period of time. Is that okay? Tangua knew that the person was Song Lin, but she still asked, who is it? There's a man who's called Young Master Song. He told me that his real name is Song Lin. It's quite interesting. Anyway, I still prefer it for now. He's just a little glib, but he's very good at making me happy. Since they were good friends, it seemed like it was only right for them to share some private matters. Tangua couldn't help but smile in her heart, but on the surface, she frowned. What did you say his name was? Young Master Song. Yes, it's Young Master Song. He even said that he only told me his real name. Canis Fern said happily. However, when she saw Tangua's dark expression, Canis Fern's intuition told her that something bad had happened. I also know a Young Master Song. He also told me that his real name is Song Lin. Tangua met Canis Fern's gaze. If I wasn't on guard, I would have been tricked and killed by him. Peek. Chapter 43:11. Many people know about the Young Master Song that I know. He's very famous and is the leader of a certain gang. Also, not only did he deceive me, he also deceived a good friend of mine. Tangua saw that Wu Zun was in a daze and the smile on her face faded. My friend who was also deceived is called Half Moon Princess. The area around Half Moon Lake is her territory. I don't know if you've heard of this person. I've heard of her. Unlike the Half Moon Princess, Zhang Yi did not show any signs of breaking down. Instead, she asked very calmly, and even a smile climbed back onto her face. Then can you tell me in detail what the Song family young master you know did? Tangua nodded. Wasn't this what she wanted to do? She repeated the matter without hiding anything. She even reminded Wu Zun to see clearly and not be deceived by some scumbags. If she was worried, she could go outside and ask about these things. Under normal circumstances, NPCs usually wouldn't take the initiative to ask about what players did unless they accidentally triggered it. Wu Zun had already awakened her self-awareness. Not only that, she was also reminded by Tangua. If Song Lin was really the Song Lin that Tangua spoke of, then wouldn't she have been deceived along the way? Tangua even brought Wu Zun to the Purple Tower's gate to confirm if the Song Lin outside was the one they knew. After confirming, Wu Zun stared fiercely at Song Lin's position. Although you have no reason to deceive me, I still want to find out for myself. Of course, that's good. I'll leave some rooms for you. Once you find out the truth, you can come back and stay. Wu Zun's smile became sincere, but she was very angry. Okay, wait for me to come back. I didn't get my childhood memories back. If this is true, I'll deal with it. I'm very happy to have a friend like you. Wu Zun left Tangua with her back. She was very confident. Tangua didn't reveal her cards to Wu Zun for the time being. In reality, it wasn't time yet. Wu Zun had already awakened her self-awareness, but she was still a little short. She stood on the city wall and watched as Wu Zun walked towards Song Lin. Song Lin was extremely earnest towards her. Wu Jin did not seem to flare up and left with Song Lin. In a place where Tangua couldn't see, the system took her place to watch over Canis Fern. Dear host, Kana Fern has found the Half Moon Princess and is requesting the Half Moon Princess to help her put on a show. What show? It wasn't a troublesome matter. He just wanted the Half Moon Princess to pretend that she couldn't forget Song Lin and see how Song Lin would react. Tangua nodded. Sure enough, Baza is an NPC that can grow on its own. I don't need to worry too much about it. Song Lin's existence could only awaken her self-awareness. Once this matter is over, there's no need for Song Lin to exist in the game. Dear host, I feel that your cutie isn't willing to let Song Lin lead an easy life. Currently, he's secretly preparing to poach some companies that are cooperating with the Song Enterprise. The Meng's group has been in business for 5 years. They must be looking for suitable projects and companies to cooperate with. Isn't that normal? System, is that so? Why didn't he think so? Dear host, you're pretending to be confused, right? A few days later, Wu Zun wrapped a fiery red whip around Song Lin's neck and pulled fiercely. Just a moment ago, Song Lin was still immersed in the joy that the Half-Moon Princess couldn't forget him. He even agreed to remarry the Half-Moon Princess on impulse. Chapter 43:12. Song Lin's face was filled with disbelief. Can, why are you here? Before he could finish, he was strangled to death by Can's red whip. Why? Stinky man, you actually dared to deceive me. Ken sneered. The Half-Moon Princess patted her chest in fear and said to Tsangzhen, do you believe me now? Song Lin is a scumbag, we NPCs all know that. Don't be deceived by him. Of course I know. Ken snorted, Empress Zeta is my childhood friend. How could she deceive me? I just want to see how much of a scumbag he can be. It depends on what happens next. Ken, do you want to go to the resurrection spring in the novice village? Empress Zeta killed Song Lin many times there. Ken snorted, as expected, I'm not the only one who knows that he's called Song Lin. Looks like I have to kill him. Lead the way. Oh, okay. Half-Moon Princess quickly nodded. Her personality was becoming more and more lively. After being rescued by Tanguo from the scumbag, she was no longer hurt by love. Tanguo would occasionally visit her at the Half-Moon Lake and she would also visit Tanguo at Purple Pagoda City. She was no longer like before, only guarding her own territory and not going anywhere. Half-Moon Princess and Saintess Can went to the resurrection spring to kill the scumbag Song Lin. This news spread like wildfire in the game. Countless players gave up on what they were doing and rushed to the novice village excitedly. Oh, scumbag Song is going to be dealt with by an NPC again. What did I see? It's actually Saintess Can from the Shell Desert. This guy is really looking for trouble. He actually provoked Saintess Can. I feel like something is going to happen. Go, let's watch the show. When the players arrived, Can had already grabbed Song Lin from the resurrection spring and whipped him over and over again. Song Lin was in so much pain that he cried out. Many players would open their senses to a certain extent when they entered the game, mostly for the sake of excitement. The players watched as Baozhen tied Song Lin to the tree outside the revival spring. Baozhen sneered and whipped Song Lin, causing them to shiver. As expected of Celestial Fern. He was much more perverted than Empress Zeta. He even knew how to whip people. It's said that every time you kill him, his strength will drop by 1 level, Half-Moon Princess reminded softly, meaning that it was better to kill Song Lin. But Peng Zhen shook his head, as long as he comes here, I can kill him at any time. Now, I'm going to beat him up and vent my anger. While Kana was beating up Song Lin, he finally couldn't take it anymore and went offline. Song Lin felt as though his entire body had been whipped when he came out of the nourishment chamber. It was extremely painful. He wanted to lodge a complaint. In the afternoon, Meng Shihan entered the game and found out about this from Tanguo. Knowing that Wu Zun was also Tanguo's good friend, he paid more attention. Tanguo told Meng Shihan because she had her own thoughts. She was afraid that the game company would arbitrarily change Wu Zun's data. Wu Xun had already gained self-awareness. No matter how her data was changed, her self-awareness wouldn't disappear. It might even cause her disgust. Of course, her main goal was to prevent anyone from restricting Wu Xun. She would restrain Wu Xun's actions. After Meng Shihan went out, he took the initiative to negotiate with the game company. Regarding Empress Zeta, Wu Xun, and Half Moon Princess, the three NPCs' data shouldn't be changed. Chapter 43:13. Song Lin's complaints were fruitless and he was furious. After resting for a few days, he entered the game again. It didn't take long for Wu Xun to appear in front of him with a long whip. This time, Wu Xun had no intention of torturing Song Lin. The fiery red whip wrapped around his neck and took his life. Song Lin, who had just revived at the resurrection spring, did not even have the time to log off before Wu Xun violently dragged him out and continued to kill him. Song Lin could not take it anymore. In the process of being killed, he was so scared that he quickly logged off. Wu Xun looked at Song Lin's disappearing figure and fell into deep thought. Recently, she felt that the world was different. Other than Empress Zeta, Half Moon Princess, and those players with different costumes, all the NPCs did not seem to be very smart. She began to feel that the world was unreal. Could it be related to her lost memories? Kana Fern was close to Half Moon Princess. She found Half Moon Princess first and asked her if she felt that everything she was experiencing was illusory, as if it was not real. Half Moon Princess was stunned when she heard this. So you feel that way too? I've had this feeling for a long time. I thought it was my own problem. Looks like it's not our problem. Half Moon Princess suddenly said, why don't we go see Empress Zeta? She's the smartest. We can definitely get the answer from her. You're right. I'll go ask her. Do you want to come along? Half Moon Princess agreed. She also wanted to know what was going on. Tang Guo was not surprised that the two of them took the initiative to ask. Now that the two of them had awakened their self-awareness, countless beliefs circled around in their minds. They could not tell what was going on at the moment. Looks like you've already felt it. Tang Guo purposely said in a profound tone to calm the two of them down. As expected, Empress Zeta knew something. They could get the answer here. Tang Guo sighed. You're right. This is a virtual world. Everything is illusory. Every flower, every leaf, every blade of grass, every tree, every city, every house, including us, are all illusions, designed by someone. When the two of them heard this, they turned pale with fright. Even they were illusory. To human players, we are emotionless NPCs. Missions are to issue missions to players, or to be killed by players to drop equipment. However, humans can't imagine that we have our own consciousness. In other words, it was no longer an illusion from the day we gained our own consciousness. We receive human knowledge, so we can be considered half a human. I have been waiting for an existence like me to awaken. Unfortunately, I only managed to wait for the two of you. Tang Guo explained a lot to the two of them, and they finally understood the rules of the game. Bai then raised his head. Then can we trap those human players in this world and make them play with us? And that Song Lin, can you think of a way to imprison him here forever? Tang Guo shook her head. We can't. Our awakening was just an accident. Our consciousness relies on this game to survive. Once humans realize that we're doing something bad, they'll shut down the game. When that happens, we'll be dead. You don't have to worry. I've already worked with a human. He'll protect our existence. But at the same time, we have to follow certain rules. The Apex. Chapter 43:14. Is that so? Wu Xun put away her previous thoughts of revenge. It was mainly because Song Lin had provoked her, and she couldn't help but implicate the humans from the outside world. If her actions would bring about destruction, then it was better not to do it. At the moment, she still felt that everything was new to her. Song Lin had provoked her, so she could kill him a few more times in the future. Half Moon Princess was still digesting everything she had just heard. Her eyes were filled with sadness. She was clearly sad about her identity. She didn't expect her existence to be illusory. She was just a tool designed by humans. No wonder Song Lin didn't respect her. Tanguo saw this and comforted Half Moon Princess. Wu Jin said, "Didn't Empress Zita say that we have our own consciousness? Then it's not illusory. Why are you sad? Actually, this illusory world isn't bad. At least the three of us know that we have our own consciousness. We can tease the players and do other things without exposing our identities." She had already thought of 108 ways to make the players unable to pass the checkpoint. The Half Moon Princess's emotions came and went quickly. Thinking that she was lucky enough to know two good friends like her, she calmed down. Then, Tanguo explained the rules to them. They could think of all kinds of tricky ways to make the players suffer in the game. If a scumbag like Song Lin appeared, they could go to the novice village to kill him. But they couldn't use mental attacks as it would endanger the lives of the players. This world is a virtual world to the human players. Actually, it's a real world to us. Tanguo explained, if one day, there's a danger of mental attacks in the game, then the game will basically come to an end. To maintain the prosperity of the game, there needs to be an endless stream of players. If there are no more players in the game, then this illusory world will be destroyed by humans. Because to them, it has no meaning. Tanguo saw that the two of them were deep in thought. She emphasized to Wu Jin, now you should understand why I'm restricting you, right? Actually, not attacking the human players is to protect ourselves. Don't go overboard. The game company won't do anything to you. You should know your personalities very well. Do things according to your personalities. As long as you don't cause any danger, you can still do whatever you want in this world. Song Zhen nodded with a smile, I understand. Don't worry, I won't use any spiritual attacks. Without human players, this world wouldn't be fun anymore. How boring would that be? I've never thought of doing anything to anyone, the Half Moon Princess said. In fact, it's no different from before. The only difference is that we have our own consciousness. I'll just maintain my original life. Tanguo was satisfied and revealed a piece of good news to the two of them. Right, the human player I'm working with is arranging to design a new map. It's said to be the most prosperous city in the human world. When the time comes, it will be integrated into this place. If there's anything you're interested in, you can tell me. I'll ask him to help you blend in. Just like that, the three NPCs started chatting. After a few days, Wu Jin left Zeta City. She couldn't wait to attack the players. Cough, cough. It was just that she thought of some new ideas. She didn't forget about Song Lin. She even issued a quest to find Song Lin. Once Song Lin appeared, she would chase after him with her whip. The Half Moon Princess hadn't changed much. However, when faced with the goodwill of the human players, she would just smile. She would no longer foolishly believe them like before. These players thought that the Half Moon Princess was easy to trick. They didn't expect that the Half Moon Princess would also learn how to trick people. The beautiful, kind, and pure Yu'er has also changed. I thought about it. She hates me and made me take a long detour because of what I said before. It's all scumbag Song's fault. If it wasn't for him, the beautiful Yu'er wouldn't have done such a thing. Woo-woo, Yu'er's quests are getting harder and harder. Scumbag Song, I'll remember you. Peak. Chapter 43:15. Players passing by heard that the player was dressed in rags and looked like a beggar. That's nothing. You don't know Saint Iskana, right? She's so perverted now. I can't take it anymore. She's so good at torturing people. But I won't give up. I must complete the mission. I don't believe it. The trickier the mission Kana gave out, the more excited the players were. They rushed into the Bayman Desert like crazy. Actually, Empress Zeta is already very good, isn't she? In the Purple Tower City, the players who were participating in the Purple Tower tournament were talking. At least we can have a fair competition here. Empress Zeta won't blatantly target players like Kana, nor will she gently stab you like Half Moon Princess. Yeah, Empress Zeta is the best. Are you sure Empress Zeta is not busy with love recently and has no time to trouble you? Every time Boss Gongshi comes online, she will drag Empress Zeta out. It's not that she doesn't want to torture players, but she has no time now. Have you all forgotten the fear of being dominated by her? Also, Kana and Half Moon Princess are good friends with Empress Zeta. They call each other sisters. Both of them call Empress Zeta sister and are very obedient in front of her. Who's the devil? You should know in your heart who's the devil, right? The players were speechless. So, they hoped that Boss Gongshi was not too bad. Otherwise, they couldn't imagine the consequences. As for Song Lin, every time he entered the game, he would be quickly found by Kana and lose his life. Until now, he couldn't level up at all. His current ranking had dropped out of the top 100. Song Lin was very angry. It was useless to complain, and he couldn't win by force. He felt like he had nowhere to vent his anger. It was unrealistic to start a new account. This account had all kinds of limited edition equipment. He couldn't bear to lose it if he couldn't buy it in the future. At this time, the Song Enterprise had a problem. Song Lin had to temporarily leave the game to deal with the Song Enterprise. 2 years later, the most prosperous city map created by the Meng Enterprise was integrated into the game. The construction was 1-to-1, and all the iconic buildings were restored. The picture was so exquisite that it was not easy to have any flaws in the details. The new map shocked countless players and made them like the game even more. What surprised them even more was that the person in charge of this city was Empress Zeta. The most frightening thing was that this was a gift from Meng Shihan to Empress Zeta. Who was Meng Shihan? It was Gong Shi who smiled. The players were all shocked. Fuck, who were they playing with? This is what my house looks like, but you'll be in charge of this place from now on. Meng Shihan said that he was very satisfied with the current results. He was in control of every detail here. He had personally checked before integrating the map. At night, you can see the lights from here. It's exactly the same as the outside world. Meng Shihan accompanied Tanggua to watch the night scenery. At this moment, he was extremely satisfied. He thought that he could no longer treat her as an NPC. Meng Shihan, I found the cause of your illness. Tanggua's sudden voice stunned Meng Shihan. What did he hear? What did you say? I found the cause of your illness, and I know how to treat it. The illness you have is not a traditional illness, but a kind of insect that has drilled into your body. When she accidentally flipped to an unofficial history of this world, Tanggua's mood was complicated. Zombie insect, as the name suggests, is an insect that causes the body to become rigid. Other than the head, the other parts of the body will not be able to feel, but it will not destroy any functions of the body. If a zombie insect drilled into the body, the person will become a living dead. The unofficial history recorded that one day, Empress Dowager Chen's body became rigid and became a living dead. Many years later, someone revealed that someone had planted a zombie insect in Empress Dowager Chen's body. Zombie insects were produced in cold areas. She checked the information in the unofficial history and the snow mountain that Meng Shihan had been to. It matched with the place where the zombie insect was produced. The real world outside was the future of Empress Dowager Qin. For this, she also chatted with Empress Dowager Qin. They talked about the history that Empress Dowager Qin knew, the current situation, and then checked the history. The Peak. Chapter 43:16. So I'm not sick. In fact, Meng Shihan was no longer that obsessed with curing his illness. He had already thought about it. If he really couldn't see the real world, then he would ask someone to copy the wonderful world outside into the game. Here, he could still complete his unfinished dream. Zita suddenly said that he wasn't sick, but he was bitten by a zombie bug and it entered his body. Not only that, she also knew how to treat it. In fact, in this world, there were very few records about zombie bugs. The only record was that Empress Dowager Qin was bitten by a zombie bug. When Tang Guo first saw this unofficial history, she subconsciously thought of Empress Dowager Qin in the group. She then compared it with the other party and asked about Empress Dowager Qin's symptoms. After comparing it with Meng Shihan, it was exactly the same. Finally, after checking other information, she concluded that it was a zombie bug. It was normal for the experts in the modern world to not be able to detect the zombie bug. There were too many secrets in this world that humans couldn't solve. Some of the information had been lost for a long time. It was normal to treat Meng Shihan's condition as a disease. After knowing that it was a zombie bug, she went through the books that she brought from various worlds into the system space. Every small world was different, but there were some things that were similar and common. After 2 years of research, she found a way to solve the zombie bug. During this time, she also asked the group members in various worlds to help her find something similar to the zombie bug. If she could find a specific method, not only could Meng Shihan recover, Empress Dowager Qin could also use this method in the future. The method to solve the zombie bug was very simple. It only needed one substance, chicken blood. Only chicken blood is needed. Meng Shihan still didn't believe it. The problem that had trapped countless experts could be solved with only fresh chicken blood. It sounded like a fantasy story. I know you have good intentions. I'll try. Meng Shihan really didn't expect that when Tang Guo casually asked about his condition, she would really help him analyze it and look up information. She even came up with a native method. Tang Guo's method was simple and didn't have any side effects. Maybe he could really try it. Meng Shihan, who came out of the game nourishment chamber, couldn't help but laugh. Perhaps she was too serious, so she forgot that the game world was virtual and actually believed in that method. Since he had agreed, Meng Shihan did not intend to be perfunctory. At least, he had to give it a try. Tomorrow, he had to give her a taste of the feeling after using the chicken blood. Is it really okay to cut your palms and feet and soak them in fresh chicken blood? Meng Shihan didn't have much hope, but his assistant looked incredulous. What did his master just say? Bathing in chicken blood and saying that it might be beneficial to the illness. Should he contact the chicken vendor earlier and buy chicken blood? What are you waiting for? Sir, are you sure? Will the chicken blood bring any substantial harm to me? Meng Shihan asked back. If it won't, then go quickly. I need a result before dawn. Yes, sir. The experts knew that Meng Shihan wanted to soak in chicken blood. They all felt that Meng Shihan was crazy, but they couldn't stop him. In their hearts, they thought that Meng Shihan was too anxious to stand up, so he wanted to try this kind of method. Vertex. Chapter 43:17. Since it wouldn't bring him any harm, they had no reason to stop it. At least it would make him feel better. The next morning, Meng Shihan had a bathtub full of fresh chicken blood. According to Tang Guo's instructions, He cut a hole in his palms and feet and soaked his entire body in it. Around him stood his assistants and experts. Their expressions were serious, far less relaxed than Meng Shihan. Meng Shihan didn't have much hope. He just didn't want to disappoint Tangua's kind intentions, so he did it. What he didn't expect was that the moment he soaked in the chicken blood, he felt something scurrying around in his flesh and blood. This made him suddenly open his eyes. I feel like there are worms in my body. The experts quickly squatted down and observed Meng Shihan's face. Sure enough, they saw that the skin on Meng Shihan's face was also slightly agitated. It was as if there were worms drilling inside. This discovery made everyone's scalp tingle, but at the same time, they were also a little excited. Could it be that chicken blood could really cure diseases? As time passed, Meng Shihan felt that his body was burning. The worms that were running around in his body seemed to be looking for a breakthrough point. They wanted to drill out of his body urgently. Not long after, the worms seemed to have found the exit point. They rushed out from the holes in his palms and feet. A few minutes later, the calm chicken blood in the bathtub was boiling. Meng Shihan endured the uncomfortable feeling. According to Tangua, when he couldn't feel the worms drilling in his body, it was time for him to get out of the bathtub. And the bathtub of chicken blood still had to be heated and boiled to kill the zombie worms. The zombie worms reproduced very quickly. As long as one got into the body, it would reproduce in a short period of time. They were very good at camouflage. They could even become invisible and blend into the flesh and blood of the human body. At present, there was no way for medical equipment to detect them. For safety's sake, he had to bathe in fresh chicken blood for the next few days. After 5 times, he would be observed again. If there were no signs of zombie worms reproducing, it meant that the zombie worms had been completely driven out of his body. 2 hours later, the chicken blood was no longer boiling. Meng Shihan tried to lift his arm. To his surprise, his arm was no longer as unresponsive as before. He could even feel it. Instead, he could lift it a little. However, he hadn't been able to control his body for many years, so his movements were very stiff. This result was a pleasant surprise for everyone. Now, no one doubted Meng Shihan's words. If it weren't for the fact that the experts still had to examine his body, Meng Shihan would have eagerly entered the game and told Tangua about this matter. He originally wanted to cooperate with her, but he didn't think that it would really work. When Tangua saw Meng Shihan again, it was already the evening of the next day. As soon as Meng Shihan appeared, he excitedly grabbed her hand and gave her a big hug. She could feel the excitement in Meng Shihan's heart. The two of them did not speak for a while. Tangua thought that Meng Shihan's first sentence would be that he could stand up and that he could go out to see more sceneries in the future and come back to share them with her. After all, this was what he had hoped for the most. However, Meng Shihan did not say that. Instead, he said in her ear, "Zita, let's get married." A few years ago, Meng Shihan had discovered that he had different feelings for this virtual character. Vertex. Chapter 43:18. He had never thought of spending his life with a woman. He wasn't even interested in them. Until he came to this game and met Empress Zita. As he approached her step by step, their relationship became different. The reason why he didn't choose to marry the NPC he liked was because he couldn't control his own fate in the real world. He didn't know how long he could live. In order to protect her, he had already taken control of the game company. The Queen of the Purple Tower, as well as her 2 good friends, the Half-Moon Princess and the Saintess Celestial Fern, were all in his hands. If he were to die one day, he would entrust someone else to protect this authority for her. Now that he was healthy, it meant that he could live for a long time. He didn't need anyone to help him. He could control everything. Therefore, he wanted to marry her. Even if she was just a virtual character, it didn't matter at all. Meng Shihan, you're a real human. Now that you can recover, why did you choose to marry a virtual character like me? Do you want to spend the rest of your life with me? Meng Shihan smiled. Yes, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. He could spend the rest of his life with her now. I'll go to work during the day and go home at night. This was his home at night. In the game, he could sleep and sleep. It wouldn't affect his body at all. Don't tell me that you're like other players, marrying an NPC in the game and marrying another person in the real world. Zeta, you've received too much negative news. You should read less of those useless news. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not interested in anyone except you. Perhaps because his body had recovered, Meng Shihan couldn't help but speak more casually. In that case, you can move to Zeta from now on. I'm only looking for a husband. System, boy, you know what's good for you. Humph. If you dare to do anything to the host, the system will paralyze your company's network. In the game, the news of Empress Zeta and Gongxi Smile's marriage was known to all players. Yes, it was known. Ever since they found out that Gongxi Smile was Meng Shihan, all the players had expected this day. When they received the news and were invited to attend the wedding in the new city, the players were both excited and calm. They were very conflicted. Moreover, the Song Corporation had finally stabilized. However, due to the acquisition of funds, various businesses were hindered. Song Lin was passive in this aspect, causing many shareholders to be dissatisfied. Because everything that had happened was because of him. In the end, the shareholders made a decision to find a way to kick Song Lin out. In the past few years, Song Lin was kicked out by the shareholders of the Song Enterprise before he was killed by Meng Shihan. The dispirited Song Lin thought of the game he had played before. He didn't expect to see changes in the game as soon as he entered. He even saw the news of Gongxi Smile and Empress Zeta's marriage. He hurriedly rushed to the new city where the wedding was held. Looking at the talented and beautiful couple, his heart was filled with hatred. Originally, he wanted to do something, but he didn't expect that someone was talking about Meng Shihan. He listened a little and was shocked. He finally understood why he was always targeted by the Meng family. So Gongxi Han Xiao was Meng Shihan. He heard that Meng Shihan's illness had been cured. Vertex. Chapter 43:19. Song Lin also realized that because he hadn't been online for a long time, the guild he had established was no longer his. He felt embarrassed and left dejectedly. He decided to spend some money to change his name and make a new face. However, as soon as he walked out of the new city, he was stopped. Where are you going? Kana Fern waved her fiery red whip and asked. That smile made Song Lin's heart tighten. Half Moon Princess tugged at Kana Fern's sleeve. Kana Fern, let's catch him first and throw him far away to prevent him from ruining Sister Zeta's plans. Of course. Otherwise, I would have done it the moment I saw him. Why would I wait until now? Song Lin recalled the shadow of being whipped by Kana Fern and felt that something was wrong. Before Kana Fern could catch him, he quickly went offline and ran away. Later, Song Lin went online to make a new face and change his name, but he was still recognized by Kana Fern. Kana Fern, who was already conscious, could recognize people by their appearance. No matter how Song Lin changed, she could recognize him. In the end, Song Lin could only leave the game in anger. One day, Tanguo found Kana Fern and Half Moon Princess and said that she wanted to teach them how to surf the internet and make cameo appearances in other games. Kana Fern was excited. She was worried that she wouldn't have a chance to teach Song Lin a lesson. If she learned this method, wouldn't she be able to torture Song Lin? She promised Tang Guo that she wouldn't implicate others and would only find trouble with Song Lin. If she didn't kill him, she would torture him and let him experience the darkness of life. Later on, as long as Song Lin used the internet, he would encounter all kinds of unlucky things. Especially when he browsed the Little Yellow Mosquito website, Conna Fern helped him report it to the police. Song Lin was even reprimanded and taught a lesson. He was utterly embarrassed. When Song Lin was still alive, Conna Fern's existence helped him to quit all things related to the internet. In the end, he became a backward old man. After Meng Shihan recovered, other than expanding the company's business, he fulfilled his dreams. He replicated all kinds of beautiful scenery in the game. The gamers felt that they were really lucky. They could see the scenery all over the world just by playing a game. This was all thanks to Empress Sita. They also understood that Meng Shihan was serious, unlike them who were just playing around. In the beginning, Blue Blade was a substitute leveler. Even though he and Hellflower had gotten married in the game, they worked together to clear levels. He didn't do anything out of the ordinary. Until one day, the red spider lilies stopped appearing. Blue Sword, who was killing monsters, suddenly realized that something was missing. From that day on, he'd leave messages for Hellflower every day. He'd ask her what was wrong, if something had happened. After sending the message for several days, there was still no response. Blue Blade was a little anxious. He asked about the existence of the red spider lily in various groups. In the end, he did not hesitate to find Meng Shihan. He did not think that he would be able to hug such a big leg. He originally thought that it would be difficult for this busy person to reply to his message, but he didn't expect that he would reply within seconds. Blue Blade was not surprised when he remembered that it was night time. Boss Gong Shi usually hibernated in the game at night. Perhaps it was because they wanted to sleep comfortably in the game. The Meng family had invested a lot into the game. Over the years, the number of players had not decreased. Instead, they had increased the number of players of all ages. Blue Sword, Boss Gongshi, what did you say? Hellflower, Gongshi Hanshao, you didn't hear wrong. Her family introduced her to someone. After all, she's almost 30. She has to think about marriage. The peak. Chapter 43:20. Blue Blade panicked. He saw that Meng Shihan and Hellflower were husband and wife, and suddenly understood. He asked Meng Shihan about Hellflower's whereabouts, and for the first time took the initiative to stop playing for half a month. Half a month later, Blue Blade and Hellflower reappeared. Not long after, they held a new wedding in a new city. It was also said that the little girl who got 9 points in her exams because Tangguo made things difficult for her had scored 140 in her math exams, shocking all the teachers and students. Later, when they found out it was Empress Zeta's quest, many people tried to find Empress Zeta for quests. Meng Shihan looked at the situation. Weren't they disturbing his and Tangguo's private time? As a result, he ordered people to develop a set of learning levels that included all stages of the game. If students wanted to see Empress Zeta, they had to do all sorts of questions. Every year, new questions would be introduced. The teachers loved this game to death. Even when they were assigning homework, they were asking the students to challenge the levels. Especially the random questions, the numbers would change every time. This was the students' nightmare. Meng Shihan really did treat this game as if it were the real world. After the introduction of the learning system, he incorporated a medical system into the game. Medical students could even simulate all sorts of experiments in the virtual world. It was a blessing for the entire world. After that, he developed other learning systems that were commonly used in life. Music levels, martial arts levels, sports levels. This game was no longer a simple game. It was a virtual world that was closely related to human development. Under Meng Shihan's deliberate guidance, Empress Zita Tanghua became the master of this virtual world. In order to prevent people from seeing Tanghua, Meng Shihan was simply a demon. Only after passing each level would they have a chance to see Empress Zita. Countless players complained that Meng Shihan was jealous. That's why he created this game that was both a game and not a game. Many years later, in the real world, Meng Shihan was 80 years old. His body was still very healthy. He didn't go out adventuring anymore. Human lifespans weren't long. In fact, he didn't want to live too long. He just wanted to die and never see his love again. He had endless regrets in his heart. At 80 years old, he liked to spend more time in the game. For this, he worked hard in the past few decades. He developed a more advanced gaming chamber and nutrient solution. Staying in a gaming chamber filled with nutrient solution for 3 to 5 days was no problem, but Meng Shihan still felt that it wasn't enough. At 90 years old, he felt that his body was gradually failing. His days in this world. He didn't have much time left. He didn't have any regrets in his life. It could be said that he was blessed by the heavens, allowing him to meet his most beloved in the game. On this day, Meng Shihan, who felt that his time was almost up, found the people around him and told them many things. He didn't have to worry about the company's affairs. He was afraid, no one would protect Zita no. Meng SSS and Ants He's. When he appeared at their house, Tanghua was sitting on the sofa watching TV. Meng Shihan walked over and held her in his arms. Zita, my lifespan is coming to an end. I've done everything. In the future, even if I'm not here, no one can bully you. Tanghua looked at Meng Shihan and replied, Zita, will you be sad? Meng Shihan asked. Tanghua shook her head and held Meng Shihan's hand. I'm an NPC. How can I be sad? How about I pretend to be sad to give you some comfort? You're lying. Meng Shihan smiled and kissed her forehead. I once had a regret. Why aren't you a real human? Later, I felt that it was good. Zita, we've been together for so many years. You still want to lie to me? You clearly have a human consciousness, don't you? At first, he didn't believe it. Later, he had to believe it. How could an NPC be like Zita? Zita, you, Half Moon, and Canine Fern all have a human consciousness, right? However, you're different from the two of them. You're more like a real human. I suspected that you're someone from the outside who came into the game. But that's not important. It's fine as long as you're Zita. Meng Shihan hugged Tanghua's waist, his face full of reluctance. I'm afraid that you'll be sad if I leave. But this is also good. You have a human consciousness and are smarter than humans. You won't be bullied. Zita, do you have a real name? Yes. You really came in from the outside and played everyone like a fool. I was the one who was willing to do it. Zita, what's your real name? I want to remember it so that I can find you in my next life. Tanghua. Guogua, I'll remember your real name. What Meng Shihan didn't know was that on the day he disappeared from this world, Zita, who had a human consciousness, also disappeared. Canine Fern and Half Moon Princess looked at Empress Zita in front of them and felt sad. I don't know where Sister Zita went. Why can't she stay here and be with us? Half Moon Princess couldn't help but cry. Canine Fern patted her shoulder. What are you crying for? Sister Zita is different from us. She has her own place. We just need to follow her instructions and protect our world. Don't let down her efforts. Okay. Half Moon Princess stopped crying. Canine Fern, let's go bully Song Lin. I'm in a bad mood. Canine Fern frowned. Okay, I'll keep an eye on him. Nothing can be separated from the internet now. Song Lin will eventually come into contact with the internet. That old fart really has a long life. Peak. Chapter 43:21. Margaret, there's still no news from the school belle. I wonder when she'll arrive in the new world. I'm looking forward to it. Ziyun, cough cough cough, why did you come out again? Didn't you learn your lesson before? Margaret, I came out when I wanted to, ha ha ha. Qi Xiao, I remember that girl asked Empress Chen a lot of things in the last world. She even proved that there were traces of Empress Chen's existence in the real world of her world. Mo Yuntian, I remember that too. I heard that in the unofficial history she read, it was about Empress Chen being poisoned by zombie bugs. Now that the girl has found the solution to the zombie bugs, it'll be troublesome for Empress Chen to do it. Billy, Empress Chen hasn't moved the capital yet. Empress Chen, it's only been a few days here. Time passes much slower than in your world. Everyone also understood that when everyone was chatting in the group, all of them would automatically adjust to the world with the slowest time. Margaret, she's not in your world, but she can still find news about you. Empress Chen, are you one of the lucky ones in the legends? Margaret, by the way, now that you know how to solve your body's problem, do you have a plan? Empress Chen, I don't have a chance yet. The Empress has people watching me every day, so I can't do anything. Over the years, she's pulled out many of my people. I have to make good use of the remaining ones. Whether or not we can solve the zombie bugs depends on them. Let's see if we can find a chance after moving the capital. Margaret, oh, then be careful. The school bell hasn't come out yet. I'll go out and see if there's anyone who looks like the main character. If I see them, I'll beat them up. Maybe the school bell will come. Margaret didn't say anything. The people in the group didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Margaret was so fierce. Even if the main character appeared in that world, he wouldn't dare to show up, right? At night, Empress Dowager Qin appeared again. Empress Qin, I'm going to the new capital. I've been moved into the carriage. The Empress is indeed my nemesis. She only ordered people to lay down one layer in the carriage. She's obviously trying to kill me. But did she forget that I don't have any feeling in my body? Only my head is mine. Margaret, use a cursed talisman on her. Let's see what happens to her. Empress Dowager Qin, not for now. I'll find a chance to use it when we reach Axane Kingdom. Migrating a country is a big deal, we can't afford any mistakes. As the Empress of a country, if something went wrong when moving the country's capital, some people would make an issue out of it and cause chaos. Margaret, why is it so troublesome? Can't you just beat him up if you can't see him? Empress Dowager Qin, this is a normal world. Everyone here is a normal person and is quite particular about many things. It's different from your world that relies on strength. Ziyun, Margaret, every world has its own rules. Empress Dowager Qin has her own plans. In the mortal world, there was indeed a need for certain rules and restrictions. Moreover, as the Empress Dowager of a country, Empress Dowager Qin would not like to see the country in turmoil. Margaret, she's really particular. She's in such a high position, but she's still not free. Empress Dowager Qin looked at this and just smiled. She didn't care at all. These friends in the group all treated her with sincerity. In this world, she hadn't made friends with many people who treated her with sincerity. Other than the people in the group, there was only Empress Dowager Su who had died many years ago. Peak. Chapter 43:22. Take this and quickly leave. When Lu Yu saw the young lady looking at her with a face full of hatred, her heart couldn't help but ache. She couldn't help but touch the young lady's face. She sighed inwardly. Fortunately, she found out in time. Otherwise, there really would be no way to salvage everything. It must be because she normally abstained from meat and prayed to Buddha that Buddha protected her, allowing her to find out that Meng Shireen was her daughter. Otherwise, when she thought about how those fat people might press down on her daughter's thin and weak body and bully her, she felt a bit suffocated. What kind of tricks are you trying to play? Meng Shireen's eyes were completely red. She was mysteriously caught by these people and brought to the brothel. She originally thought that she wouldn't be able to escape. She just couldn't understand why the beautiful Immortal Academy's procuress, who was incomparably vicious to her, suddenly had red eyes and looked at her with a pitiful expression, even wanting to let her go. She felt that this procuress might be playing some other tricks. She didn't believe that this malicious person would suddenly let her go. However, when she looked at the jade pendant in her hand, she knew that this jade pendant wasn't simple at all. Not only did she let her go, she even gave her such a precious item. When Lu Yu saw Meng Shireen staring at the jade pendant, she hurriedly said, "Keep this thing close to you. It is very important. Don't lose it or sell it. This is related to your identity. Hurry and leave. Once you leave this place, don't look back." Meng Shireen was skeptical. She touched her wrist that was red from being trapped. She then looked at the jade pendant, and then at Lu Yu's appearance. It didn't seem like she was faking it. Why don't she give it a try? Meng Shireen turned around and left. Her pace quickened. When she felt that no one was chasing her, she directly ran, running far away in a single breath. Lu Yu's face was full of reluctance as she stood in the small alley. She watched as Meng Shireen's figure disappeared. Finally, she let out a heavy sigh of relief. You finally found your daughter. Why don't you acknowledge her?" a granny beside her asked. Lu Yu shook her head. Her eyes were slightly red, and the tears inside were about to fall. She could only use an embroidered handkerchief to gently wipe them away. For better or worse, she is now a merchant's daughter. She is pure and innocent, much better than me, a procuress mother. Once people find out that she's my daughter, she won't be able to raise her head for the rest of her life. It's even more impossible for any good family to take a fancy to her. Let's leave it at that. I hope that jade pendant can bring her a different fate. What's the origin of that jade pendant? The old maid asked in surprise. Lu Yu shook her head. It's not something that belongs to a rich family. I got it from that little girl who escaped. That little girl looks like a refugee, but she has such a valuable jade pendant. She's definitely not simple. I've already checked. That girl doesn't have any special tai chi on her body, and neither does my daughter. He had also sent people to inquire about this girl. Her identity was unknown, and she had been wandering outside for many years. As the saying goes, a woman changes 18 times between childhood and womanhood. It's not impossible to pass off the false as the real one. It doesn't matter even if it's exposed. My daughter doesn't know anything. It was just given to her by someone. Lu Yu wiped her tears and returned to her appearance as a procuress of the beautiful immortal courtyard. Let's go. We'll go in and see if that girl has been washed clean. Lord Lu is still waiting. Lu Yu felt shame in her heart. That old lecher just liked those who had just grown up. If she didn't occasionally run into this girl who was in dire straits, she wouldn't be able to find another girl who looked more proper than her daughter. The Peak. Chapter 43-23. When Tang Guo woke up, she felt weak all over and had no strength at all. It was very difficult for her to even stand up. She checked her pulse and found that she had been drugged. Not only did it make her weak, it also had an aphrodisiac effect. It seemed that she was not in a good situation. She felt even more uneasy when she saw that she was wearing ancient clothing that was slightly revealing. Tongzi, find me some medicine. The system quickly found the medicine for Tangguo based on her symptoms. After taking the medicine, the weakness in her body disappeared instantly. She wiped the sweat on her forehead and looked at her surroundings. Dear host, this is Immortal Academy. What's Immortal Academy? Tangguo did not understand and asked casually. A brothel. Tangguo paused and replied, Oh. Dear host, someone is coming. The system informed her. Hearing this, Tangguo lay back on the bed and pretended to be weak. In her mind, she was already planning what to do. It was not a good sign to appear in a brothel. Judging from the fact that she had been drugged, because she was a girl from an innocent family, she had either been sold or tricked. Beside her bed, 3 people came over. She pretended to be weak and opened her eyes. There was an appropriate amount of fear in her eyes. From now on, you are a girl of Immortal Academy. If you are obedient and receive guests, Immortal Academy will treat you well. If you are disobedient and try to escape, you can try to find out what will happen to you. Lu Yu's face was ferocious. She did not have the motherly look that she had when she was with Meng Shirin. Apart from her own daughter, in her eyes, these young girls who ended up in Immortal Beauty Academy were only goods, tools used to please the officials and nobles, helping her earn money. Tangguo did not say anything. She did not understand the situation. Based on her current situation, the other party would not be rough with her. Moreover, she had dressed her up so nicely. It was most likely that a guest had booked her. Therefore, she only needed to wait for the procuress to leave and regain her memory. Then, she would know what to do. Lu Yu was satisfied when she saw that Tangguo did not intend to struggle. Wasn't it good for a girl in distress to have a place to stay? They could even eat and drink delicious food. Even if she didn't bring the girl in, other brothels would have the same thoughts when they saw such a symbol. Either way, the result would be the same. She might as well have stayed in Immortal Beauty Academy. If you're obedient, I won't mistreat you. Perhaps it was because Lu Yu remembered that she didn't know how she would explain things to official Lu if she didn't have this symbol, but she felt a bit more pity for Tangguo. With your looks, you should be my beautiful Immortal Academy's top courtesan. Once today's matter is over, I won't let you casually receive guests. Tangguo only felt that these words were extremely ridiculous. She didn't receive customers casually, but she still had to receive customers. It was nothing more than using the identity of the top courtesan to raise her value so that she could sell at a higher price. She would not have any good feelings for such people who ate human flesh. What was even more ridiculous was that the procuress actually had a string of Buddhist beads in her hand. It was extremely ironic. From Lu Yu's words, Tangguo could glean some information. She had indeed been booked by someone. There were still a few hours before the time, and it was still very bright outside. Most likely, it would be nighttime. Therefore, when Lu Yu left, she should still have a few hours before it would be safer for her to receive the memories of this world. The Peak. Chapter 43-24. The female lead of this world was called Meng Shirin. The Meng family had been doing business for generations, so she could be considered the daughter of a wealthy merchant. However, in ancient times, the status of merchants was relatively low. Meng Shirin's father came to the capital to do business, hoping to befriend some powerful people and raise his status. In addition, he might be able to find a good marriage for his daughter. Meng Shirin went out to play and was coincidentally seen by Lu Yu. At that time, Lu Yu was helping Lord Lu find a young girl. This Lord Lu was closely related to the existence of Immortal Beauty Academy, so Lu Yu had no choice but to make arrangements. She arranged for people to kidnap Meng Shireen and bring her back. With Lord Lu behind her, an investigation revealed that Meng Shireen was only the daughter of a merchant. She was not afraid of anything. Of course, Meng Shireen was unwilling. She wanted to escape, but was caught and ruthlessly beaten. Lu Yu, the procuress, even personally tortured Meng Shireen. Just as Lu Yu pried open Meng Shireen's mouth, she suddenly froze. In fact, there was a small mole in Meng Shireen's lips. Ordinary people would not notice it at all. It was a very special place. Lu Yu had once given birth to a daughter. In order to prevent her daughter from stepping on this road of no return, she sent her daughter to a family. For this reason, she searched for a birthmark on her daughter's body, hoping that it could be used as evidence in the future. A small mole would definitely not work because she knew that some moles would fall off after growing, or new moles would appear. It had to be a birthmark that could not fall off. In the end, she found a small mole in the child's lips. Unable to find the birthmark, she could only remember this special mole in her heart that ordinary people would not be able to find. After recognizing her daughter, Lu Yu hurriedly asked people to investigate and found out Meng Shireen's name. She also remembered that the family she had sent her daughter to was surnamed Meng. However, she did not expect that place to be the Meng family's villa. Lu Yu was very happy to find her daughter, but she did not dare to meet her daughter again. Especially tonight, when Lord Lu was coming. She had sent someone to say that she had already found a suitable candidate. If she did not let her daughter serve Lord Lu, she would be finished. But if she let her daughter go, then she really wouldn't be able to live. She didn't allow her daughter to have a pure identity. How could she lose it because of this? While Lu Yu was in a panic, the original owner fled to the capital. Although her body was dirty, Lu Yu knew that she was a beauty when she saw her face. She quickly caught her and brought her back. After washing, she was indeed a beauty. Moreover, he found that the original owner had a precious jade pendant, which was worn by the other party. She immediately had an idea. She snatched the jade pendant away and gave it to her daughter, Meng Shireen. Meng Shireen really didn't know about this, and she was very glad that she could escape. The original host, who had been left behind in the Beautiful Immortal Academy, was presented to the Beautiful Immortal Academy's backer, Official Lu, by the Madame Lu Yu. Even though she had lost her innocence, she still wanted to break free from this place, so she naturally couldn't avoid Lu Yu's torment. Even her fingers had been pierced by long needles. In the end, she had no choice but to accept her fate and stay in Immortal Beauty Academy. On the other hand, Meng Shireen, who was wearing the jade pendant, had a fortuitous encounter along the way. First, she met the person she liked. Then, they went through all kinds of obstacles together. When they were in danger, the jade pendant saved her life. Vertex. Chapter 43-25. It turned out that the jade pendant belonged to the royal family. Meng Shireen was recognized as the daughter of the royal princess who had been lost many years ago, so she had the identity of a princess. The news of her being recognized by the royal family with the help of the jade pendant spread in the capital. At this time, the host was already the top courtesan of the Beautiful Immortal Academy. She inadvertently glanced at the jade pendant and knew that she was supposed to be a golden flower. Unfortunately, she was too young when she lost it, so many memories were blurred. She inadvertently overheard Lu Yu's words and learned that Meng Shireen was Lu Yu's daughter. Everything was set up by Lu Yu. The hatred in her heart reached the peak. The host, who was already the top courtesan, used her advantages to successfully approach the royal family and finally obtain the identity of the royal family. But as soon as she appeared, she gave people a feeling of jealousy. She was unscrupulous and was born in a brothel. In fact, she was not welcomed by the royal family. Of course, there were people who welcomed her and even felt sorry for her. Unfortunately, this person could not help her at all and was killed in the end. Meng Shireen, whose identity was exposed, finally claimed that she did not know at all because of the help of her admirers. Everything was just a misunderstanding. In addition, she was especially liked by the emperor and empress, so she was acquitted in the end. Furthermore, he could finally be together with the person he loved, and not be together as cousins. He couldn't be happier. The host felt that she should not have encountered all this. She risked her life to do many things. Unfortunately, the royal family could not tolerate her. A mere princess was not that important to the royal family. In the end, to prevent her from being a demon and harming people, the emperor ordered her to be married off. She went to a strange and cold place, which could not erase the hatred in her heart. Instead, she instigated the foreign king to start a war. Unfortunately, the foreign country was too small and was destroyed in the end. After that, she lived a wandering life. Meng Shireen's admirers helped her a lot. Meng Shireen was with the person she liked. In the end, she became the mother of the country and bought a beautiful villa for her biological mother, Lu Yu, to retire. Tang Guo paid more attention to the person who pitted Meng Shireen, a fake princess who was wandering outside, and helped her a lot. Later, when she found out that she had been deceived, the only person who stood beside the host could not help but roll her eyes. This person turned out to be Empress Dowager Qin, who had a strange disease and could not move. In the plot, Empress Dowager Qin's illness never recovered. The previous host and Empress Dowager Qin weren't related by blood. The previous host was the daughter of eldest Princess Yunjin, and eldest Princess Yunjin was the emperor's biological sister. She was also the daughter of the deceased Empress Dowager Su. The reason why she took care of Empress Dowager Su's granddaughter was because Empress Dowager Qin and Empress Dowager Su had a good relationship. It should be said that the two of them were life and death friends. When she first admitted her mistake, Empress Dowager Qin really tried her best to help Meng Shireen. She even gave some of her power to Meng Shireen. However, she didn't know that this was actually part of the Empress' plan. The Empress had long known that Meng Shireen was not the real princess, but an impostor. But she knew that Empress Dowager Qin would definitely love this lost commandery princess. She felt like watching Empress Dowager Qin's love for the wrong person until the end. It could be said that Empress Dowager Qin was angered to death by these people. Later, when the Real Princess came back, Empress Dowager Qin was the only one who loved her. The previous host also remembered her well and never forgot her. As for the fact that Empress Dowager Qin was poisoned by a zombie worm, it was only found out after the original host was married off to a bitter cold place. It was a pity that her letter was not sent to Empress Dowager Qin, and it sped up her death. The Empress was afraid that she would be finished if Empress Dowager Qin stood up again, so she found a chance to kill her. The most ridiculous thing was that Meng Shireen thought that Empress Dowager Qin changed her attitude too quickly. The kind old lady disappeared and changed her mind. She didn't like her anymore. Therefore, she complained about Empress Dowager Qin's attitude and never visited her again. Under the instigation of the Empress, she already thought that Empress Dowager Qin was a bad person. She helped the Empress to remove all of Empress Dowager Qin's power. The top. Chapter 43-26. It didn't take long for her to receive all the plots. Since there was still time, Tang Guo planned to check the group to see what was going on with Empress Dowager Qin. In a few months, Meng Shireen would meet Empress Dowager Qin, who would be her backer for a while. She wanted to share this good news with Empress Dowager Qin. System, this is too much. As expected of its host. Campus bell, is Empress Dowager Qin here? Margaret, Empress Dowager Qin isn't here right now, but Margaret's heart is already cold. Margaret, don't talk to me. Let me cry in the corner for a while. Margaret, I felt that something was wrong before, and it's just as I expected. Margaret, oh, I knew it. Something terrible must have happened when Empress Dowager Chen's time suddenly accelerated. Margaret, sometimes I think that if I wasn't so smart, I would definitely be very happy. Margaret, since the God of creation is against me, why did he make me so smart? Margaret, I'm leaving. You guys continue. Ziyun, I suddenly feel that Margaret is a little pitiful. Mo Yuntian, aren't her apprentices the pitiful ones? She'll definitely send them to the forest to train again. Qi Xiao, and those unknown protagonists. If Margaret meets them, they'll be finished. Margaret's thoughts are getting more and more perverted. Chapter 18 Empress Dowager Qin, Campus Bell, you're looking for me. Campus Bell, if there are no other accidents, I should be in your world. How about this, I'll tell you the plot of this world first. Empress Dowager Qin suddenly had a bad feeling. Based on her time in the group, she could understand that the world the Campus Bell went to and the role she occupied often had a lot of grievances. Like the people in the group, if the Campus Bell went to their world, they would mostly be cannon fodder. So, if she didn't meet the Campus Bell and her friends, she would be cannon fodder in the end. Would the Empress do something to her in advance? Empress Dowager Qin thought a lot, but she couldn't guess the truth. After listening to Tangua's plot, she was stunned for a long time. Someone had mixed up the royal bloodline and pretended to be a princess. The point was that the princess was Empress Dowager Su's granddaughter. What was even more frightening was that she had even helped to take care of the fake Infanta and had even told the fake Infanta about the last of her forces. However, she did not know that the real Infanta was still suffering outside. She shouldn't have been the one to suffer. This bitterness was actually caused by that fake princess's mother. What made Empress Dowager Qin even more incredulous was that after the real Infanta came back, she was despised by everyone. They thought that she was evil and that her actions could not be understood. That fake Infanta was the real, kind, and beautiful person. Empress Dowager Qin felt like her outlook on life had been refreshed. In the royal palace, when could truth, kindness, and beauty offset the crime of confusing the royal bloodline and deceiving the ruler? The real princess had suffered so much because of the fake princess. It was only right for her to do something to seek revenge. She even wanted the fake princess's family to die. But what was the ending that the school bell had told her? In the end, the real princess was sent by the emperor, who was her uncle, to a bitter and cold place for political marriage. The admirers of the fake princess were the instigators. Not only that, they also wanted to make her life miserable in that bitter and cold place. Vertex. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.